Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek, and today we're going to look at grading Morgan dollars from very fine to AU, and we're going to have a bunch of little tips and tricks along the way. And let's take a closer look. Let's remind ourselves a little bit of a few things. First of all, if you haven't already seen the video on grading coins from good to fine, you can click on the link in this video to take you to that one. The next thing I want to remind you of is that the official ANA grading standards for United States coins, if you get the edition from the 70s, it's going to have great information in it with these awesome line drawings which help you understand more what you're talking about when you're talking about wear points. All right, first up, let's remind ourselves a little bit of what the fine looked like. So we're going to go back in time where you had most of the detail to the coin, the general detail to the coin is there. There is nothing that is sort of hidden at this point on the coin, as you start to see even some of the finer details popping up on those leaves up into the Liberty cap that Liberty is wearing. So as we move into very fine, what you'll find now is that all those items start to become more well defined. Better separation from the leaves to Liberty cap, stronger hairlines, and you'll start to see some wear patterns show that are a little bit different on the coins as they get into the higher and higher grades. I'll explain more on that in a minute. Overall, the hairline is very bold, especially on the back side of the hair, whereas there's still lots of wear points across the top of the hair. The reverse of the coin is going to show strong, bold features with much of the detail starting to pop up on the leaves on the wreath. And some of those areas are a little bit more protected than others, and you'll see some areas completely bold, like this set of leaves above the O and N and 1, versus some of the ones at the edges which seem to have worn quite a bit more. Very fine is a little bit tricky of an area to grade in our current grading system. It has the largest grade range with 20 points. And it also has 4 different grade levels at 20, 25, 30, and 35. So it does technically and literally cover the most grading ground. One of the things that you'll start to see as you move from very fine to extra fine is you'll start to see a touch of mint luster. This is something that in extra fine is the last grade that the official ANA grading guide mentions luster on. I have seen coins graded VF35 that have luster. Luster is the effect of the coin being struck, that as you tilt it in the light reflects to create what's known oftentimes as a cartwheel effect. The natural motion that the light reacts to as you turn it and you see that wheel turn, that is luster. Typically, luster can be a clue or a hint or a tip as you look at a coin with more wear. Now on this coin, it's hard to tell that there's any luster if you don't know what it is that you're looking for. But as we turn the coin here into the light, you start to see small amounts of light reflect close to the devices. When I say devices, I mean things like the lettering. So as you turn it here, you'll start to see what looks like a white line move through the word United. That white line is the remnants of luster. You also, as you turn it, start to see specks of light reflect throughout the eagle's wings. Those are little hidden pieces of luster. As you compare it to this coin, when you turn it, the wings are flat. They do not have that little twinkle of luster that's hidden still. Let's take a closer look again at this one that would grade extra fine. Extra fine, as I always knew it growing up, XF, but as many people now call it EF. Extra fine has a range of 40 to 50, but only 2 grade points at 40 and 45, as 50, of course, is the beginning of the almost uncirculated range. You're going to see a lot more detail throughout the coin when you get into extra fine. And instead of seeing detail appear once you get into the extra fine, and especially into the almost uncirculated grade, instead of seeing detail added back to the coin, you're going to start judging the coin or grading the coin based on what's missing instead of what's there. There's almost this inverse effect as you go along the grading scale. The higher up the grading scale you go, the more you're looking at what's missing. The lower down the grading scale you go, the more you're looking at what's left behind. One of the things that I want to point out is, as Liberty's face takes shape, her cheek is rounded, but it actually goes back down towards the ear, creating pockets of luster, of course, around the ear and the hair. But also on coins that are worn, you can start to see this wear pattern that'll help you to understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about and help you understand sometimes whether a coin's been cleaned or not. As you look at this coin here, note the dark spots near the ear and all this white lighter area. The lighter areas represent wear. The darker areas in this instance are actually areas that have been protected from wear. So you can see that this whole area is flat from wear, and then it gets darker here because the surface of this coin is not domed all the way across the coin. The surface of the coin is domed across the cheek so that it actually goes from the chin, it raises to the cheek and the jowls, and then it gets lower, closer to the ear, protecting the ear. And that's why you see some of this coloration differential here. So this is actually when a coin is very clearly not been cleaned. You get to see some of that nice color differential. We have other videos on coin cleaning and coin cleaning theories. It's a whole topic which actually I believe needs broader discussion in the collector market. Back to your extra fine coin, you do have signs of luster throughout the hair. That's what all those little bright shiny areas are in there. And you start to notice how much design is missing instead of how much design is added. Now as we move up into the AU grade of course has the same number of points technically as the extra fine, but instead of there being 2 grades, there's actually 4 grades in AU 50, 53, 55, and 58. This 1878, I would grade a lower grade AU, and actually I would grade it an AU 53. You do start to really notice the luster and the amount of luster that's missing. The luster being those bright areas that turn, and then the dull dark areas, such as in between the eagle's wings and the wreath. And then at this angle you see the coin go dark again between the lettering. Those are all areas where the luster is disappearing. Now a special word about strike. Strike really starts to play in effect on coins when you get into the higher grades, and you need to learn how to understand that some coins come struck extremely flat, and the first year and last year of this series have very different striking. The 1878 coins especially, and then the 1921 coins, have a very different strike and look than most of the rest of the series. As you get into the last coin, the 1921, you have coins that have an overall relatively flat appearance to them. The cheeks were not struck as high in these coins, and the ears were not as bold. There are lots of hairlines that are pretty fine, but especially on the reverse of the coin themselves had a very flat design to them. The New Orleans Mint, especially from the later 1880s, is notorious for flatly struck coins, and why this is important is because as you learn to grade, you're going to find coins that have very flat surfaces over the ear, and you have to understand that that lack of design sometimes is not always wear. Sometimes that's just from the dies either being worn or the striking process. Back to this 1878, what we're going to look at is a coin that is mostly complete. And we're going to start noticing small spots of wear versus what is left on the coin. Once again, I do rely quite a bit on the overall luster to first see how much of the coin is still original and how much of it is worn down. After that, you're going to start seeing whatever the highest points on the coin are to see where the wear spots are. So on these Morgans, typically you're going to see that appear on these leaves where you'll see wear spots, especially on the ones at the ends. And also, of course, the high points on these usually are parts of the eagle's wings, especially near the top center and the eagle's head. The eagle's breast oftentimes is a high point, although in this 1878, the design was different. And that center point is not always the first place to get wear. These are some of the different things that I look at when I'm grading Morgan dollars. I hope these tips help you out. As you continue to learn, take time to look at lots of coins and ask lots of questions, and hopefully you'll learn how to grade better so that you don't have to rely as much on other people or coin grading services, and you can make decisions for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Ben, the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.